In a world threatened by demons, a young woman named Velvet acts as a protective older sister. She offers comfort and courage through enchanted charms, establishing her caring nature amidst a backdrop of fear and danger that looms over their peaceful lives. The world has been irrevocably altered by a demonic plague that turns people and animals into monsters. The protagonist, Velvet, is now driven by a singular, all-consuming desire for revenge against one man, hinting at a deep personal tragedy that set her on this dark path. In a flashback to a simpler time, Velvet lives a peaceful life with her sickly younger brother, Laphicet, and her kind brother-in-law, Arthur. Their dynamic is one of a loving family, though Laphicet's poor health casts a shadow over their otherwise happy existence. Velvet spars with Arthur, who provides combat training but criticizes her for being too reliant on her emotions. He warns that her passion, while a virtue, could also be her downfall in a real battle, foreshadowing the central conflict of her character. The concept of exorcists is introduced as the only force capable of effectively combating the demon threat. Arthur explains that the ability is an innate talent, a stark reality of their world that leaves ordinary individuals powerless against the growing darkness. The societal strain from the Daemonblight becomes evident as vital medicine for Lafacette is delayed. The villagers express their growing fear and frustration, relying on Arthur as their exorcist protector while also criticizing his perceived shortcomings and past failures. Lafacette excitedly shows Velvet a compass, a symbol of his yearning for adventure and his dream of exploring the vast world with her once he recovers from his illness. The moment underscores his innocent aspirations and their powerful sibling bond. The ominous Scarlet Night approaches, an event that holds a dark significance for the siblings. It marks the anniversary of a past tragedy that reshaped their lives, adding a layer of foreboding to their already precarious situation and hinting at deeper sorrows. Despite his illness, Lafacette secretly ventures out. Velvet discovers he has been painstakingly copying entire books by hand to trade for money. This act reveals his quiet determination and the great lengths he will go to achieve his personal goals. Velvet takes Lafacette to a scenic cape, a place of shared memories. They talk about his dream of becoming an exorcist so he can protect her on their future travels. This heartfelt conversation reinforces their deep bond right before tragedy strikes. Their peaceful moment is shattered by the sudden appearance of a demon. A panicked Velvet urges Lafacette to flee, her instructions echoing Arthur's lessons about controlling emotions. The unexpected crisis puts their survival skills to the ultimate test. The true horror of the Scarlet Night is revealed as Arthur betrays them. Now calling himself Artorius, he declares his intention to sacrifice Lafacette in a dark ritual to save the world, completely shattering Velvet's reality and revealing his cruel true nature. In a horrific ritual, Artorius sacrifices Lafacette. Overcome with an unimaginable combination of grief and rage, Velvet is consumed by a demonic power. Her arm transforms, and she is reborn as a Therion, a demon that feeds on other demons. Artorius addresses the terrified villagers, rebranding himself as the world's savior. Wielding the power gained from Lafacette's sacrifice, he quells the Daemonblight, cementing his new authority and establishing the formidable exorcist's Abbey to enforce his new world order. 3 years later, Velvet has been held captive in a desolate prison pit on the island of Titania. She is survived by feeding on the demons thrown in with her, her existence pared down to a single, burning desire: vengeance against Artorius. A mysterious woman named Ceres frees Velvet. She reveals that she was once Artorius's Malak, a spiritual being bound to his service but has since turned against him. She offers Velvet a path to revenge and an escape from her years of torment. Velvet and Ceres begin their perilous escape from the island prison. They are immediately confronted by exorcist guards, giving Velvet her first opportunity to unleash the devastating demonic powers she has honed during her 3 years of brutal captivity. To create a diversion and increase their chances of escape, Velvet makes a ruthless decision. She resolves to unleash all the prisoners and demons held on Titania, using them as disposable tools to sow chaos and distract the Abbey's forces. Amidst the prison riot, they encounter Magilou, an eccentric and flamboyant sorceress who had been locked away. Her dramatic introduction and unpredictable nature immediately mark her as a wild card in the unfolding escape. They also meet Rokaru, a demon swordsman desperate to find his legendary blade, Stormhowl. After Velvet helps him retrieve it, he pledges a life debt to her, adding a formidable and loyal warrior to their newly formed, unlikely crew. Their escape is blocked by Oscar Dragonia, a high-ranking exorcist praetor. The ensuing battle tests their combined strength. Ceres reveals she is bound by a powerful oath, a self-imposed curse that grants her strength at a great personal cost. Mortally wounded in the fight, Ceres makes a final, desperate plea to Velvet: consume her. She explains her life is forfeit due to her oath, and by devouring her, Velvet will gain the power necessary to defeat Artorius. After absorbing Ceres's immense power, Velvet easily overpowers Oscar. She introduces herself not as a victim, but as Velvet Crowe, a monster who will devour anyone and anything, demon, exorcist, or god, that stands in the way of her vengeance. The newly formed party of Velvet, Rokaru, and Magilou successfully escapes the prison island on a stolen ship, sailing directly into a raging storm. Their chaotic departure marks the true beginning of their dark quest for revenge across a hostile world. After being shipwrecked, the party encounters a young Malak boy who is a stowaway. His striking resemblance to Laphicet immediately creates a complex emotional conflict for Velvet, who is both drawn to and repulsed by him. The party learns a lizard demon named Dial is wanted by the Abbey, which has halted all shipping until he is captured. Velvet sees this as an opportunity, planning to deal with Dial to get their damaged ship repaired and continue their journey. The group encounters Elinor Hume, an Abbey praetor with a compassionate demeanor that contrasts sharply with the other exorcists. Her sense of duty and morality sets her up as a recurring and complex antagonist for Velvet's crew. Dial reveals he was framed by the corrupt shipping guild. Recognizing a shared thirst for revenge, Velvet decides to help him by faking his death. This allows Dial to get his vengeance while creating a useful diversion for her party. Velvet is tormented by a vivid nightmare, reliving the trauma of Laphicet's sacrifice. The young Malak boy awakens her, but her unresolved grief makes her lash out, blurring the line between her painful past and the boy's innocent presence. The group clashes with Teresa, Oscar's formidable older sister, who is bent on avenging him. The battle is cut short when Dial ignites a cache of smuggled flamestone, creating a massive explosion that engulfs the port and allows the party to escape. During the chaotic escape, Teresa orders the Malak boy to self-destruct. In a critical moment, Velvet gives him a conflicting order to attack the exorcists. Torn between his mistress and his savior, he chooses Velvet, breaking his bond with the Abbey. Aboard their getaway ship, Velvet finds herself conflicted about the Malak boy. She struggles to give him orders, knowing his kind exists only to serve. This internal debate highlights her growing unease with using others as mere tools for her revenge. The party is intercepted by pirates led by Eisen, a Malak infamous for his Reaper's curse that brings misfortune to those around him. He proposes an alliance to help them breach a massive fortress gate, introducing a powerful but dangerous new ally. Eisen reveals the cruel truth about the Malak boy. His free will has been magically sealed by the exorcists, turning him into a docile tool. This practice by the Abbey, suppressing the personalities of Malakim, horrifies the group. Velvet is struck by a painful memory of her brother Laphicet, who was fascinated by compasses and dreamed of adventure. The flashback contrasts her past tenderness with her current coldness, while also deepening her strange connection to the Malak boy. After successfully breaching the fortress, Velvet makes a significant decision. She gives the Malak boy a name, Laphicet. This act reveals her deep-seated attachment as she begins to see him as a surrogate for her lost brother. Arriving in the capital city of Logris, the crew uses Magalu's theatrical flair to blend in as a traveling performance troupe. They witness a grand ceremony where Artorius is celebrated as the world's heroic shepherd, fueling Velvet's simmering rage. Artorius delivers a powerful speech, urging the people to embrace reason and cast off their emotions as shackles of their own will. His philosophy is made clear: the suppression of all feeling is the only true path to salvation from chaos. The group makes contact with an underground guild known as the Blood-Winged Butterflies. Their enigmatic leader, Tabitha, agrees to provide intelligence on Artorius, but only if they prove their worth by completing a series of dangerous and illegal tasks for her. While carrying out one of Tabitha's jobs, the party is confronted again by the exorcist Elinor. The conflict escalates until Magalu turns the tables by revealing her own formidable magical powers, renewing a pact with her familiar spirit, Bienfu. Tabitha reveals that the jobs were a test to see if Velvet could uncover a larger conspiracy involving the church distributing an addictive substance. Impressed by her deductive skills, Tabitha formally agrees to aid their cause against the Abbey. Velvet is plagued by a horrific nightmare in which Artorius tempts her to commit a monstrous act against Laphicet. The young Lafacette, now nicknamed Phi, wakes her, but she violently pushes him away, her trauma making her unable to distinguish friend from foe. While infiltrating a royal villa to assassinate a corrupt high priest, the party is ambushed by Elinor. During the chaos, the priest reveals he was secretly working for the Abbey, but Artorius has now betrayed him to silence him permanently. In the villa's hidden chambers, the party discovers a monstrous creature known as a Therion, held captive by the Abbey. This shocking revelation is the first concrete proof that the Abbey's activities extend far beyond simply fighting demons. The crew solidifies their next objective, confronting Artorius at a holy site known as the Empyreans Throne. Tabitha provides crucial information on how to bypass the powerful magical barrier protecting the location, paving the way for their attack. To breach the barrier, the party needs the assistance of Zavid, a powerful rogue Malak. However, his past conflicts with Eisen lead to an immediate clash of wills, forcing Velvet to intervene and keep the volatile group focused on their shared enemy. Elinor directly confronts Artorius about the Therion hidden in the villa. He coldly dismisses her emotional turmoil and questions, reinforcing his rigid philosophy that reason must conquer all feeling. This encounter deepens the cracks in her faith. The party devises a reckless plan to assault Artorius. Velvet will act as a sacrificial vanguard, absorbing his attacks, while Lafacette continuously heals her. It's a desperate brute force strategy born from her overwhelming desire for vengeance. Their attack fails catastrophically. Artorius reveals his true power source, a godlike being called an Empyrean, Innominate. He effortlessly heals his injuries and overwhelms the entire party, showcasing a level of power far beyond their comprehension. During their hasty retreat, Teresa confronts them and orders Lafacette to self-destruct. He refuses, and in a moment of crisis, his own latent power awakens, creating a chaotic earth pulse that swallows everyone, inadvertently saving them by trapping them in another dimension. Trapped within the earth pulse, Lafacette's power becomes dangerously unstable, threatening to corrupt him into a demon. Elinor, now a fugitive from the Abbey, makes a critical decision and volunteers to become his vessel, stabilizing his power and tying her fate to the parties. Elinor challenges Velvet to a duel to define their new relationship. Per the terms, her loss means she must serve as Lafacette's vessel and obey Velvet's commands. Velvet emerges victorious, and Elinor, true to her word, officially joins the crew. Magalu reveals her detached nature by making a bet on whether Velvet will abandon her quest for revenge. Her actions show she has no personal stake in their fight and is merely an observer, finding amusement in their struggle and the unfolding chaos. Elinor secretly receives a new mission from Artorius through a magical communication. She is ordered to act as a double agent, protecting Lafacette while guiding him back to the Abbey, placing her in a precarious position of divided loyalties. The party encounters Rokuro's estranged older brother, Shigure, a powerful legate of the Abbey. Their reunion sparks a fierce duel, delving into their complex family history and Rokuro's personal quest to surpass his sibling and claim their family's legendary sword. Though defeated, Rokuro refuses to give up. He seeks out the legendary blacksmith Kurogane, now a demon himself. The ancient smith agrees to forge Rokuro a new pair of swords from his own demonic flesh, preparing him for a future rematch. Elinor's loyalty is pushed to its limit when she's forced to fight fellow exorcists. Unable to kill them, Velvet intervenes and gives her a new, compassionate order to fight but ensure her opponents survive, acknowledging Elinor's moral struggle. Rokuro confronts Shigure again, now wielding his powerful new demon blades. The fight is more evenly matched, but Shigure reveals he has been holding back his true power. He tells Rokuro to grow even stronger before their final, decisive battle. The pirate crew is afflicted by a deadly illness, the Corsair's scourge, forcing the party to detour for a cure. Their quest leads them to a forest sealed by the Abbey, where they encounter a mysterious and powerful insectoid demon. The party discovers that the powerful insectoid demon is actually a Therion, being protected by the Abbey. This confirms their theory that the Abbey is not destroying these creatures, but is instead capturing and utilizing them for a larger, unknown purpose. Eisen learns that the Abbey legate, Melchior, has set a trap for Zavid. The bait is a magical illusion of their captured pirate captain, Ifrid. Despite knowing it's a ruse, Eisen's loyalty compels him to go and face Melchior directly. Melchior's trap is sprung. He uses a captive woman to summon a powerful dragon, which triggers a chain reaction that transforms other exorcists into demons. He reveals that Eisen's Reaper's Curse is a powerful catalyst for creating malevolence. Zavid reveals the truth behind his conflict with the Abbey. Before being captured, Captain Ifrid entrusted him with a powerful artifact, the gun Siegfried. Melchior's true objective was to copy the unique art within it, making Ifrid himself expendable. Lafacette befriends a young boy named Vadel, who happens to possess a rare book written in an ancient language. This text holds the key to understanding the Abbey's true plans, the nature of Innominate, and the purpose of the Therions. The party locates Grim, an old acquaintance of Magalu's and an expert in ancient languages. Impressed by Lafacette's genuine passion for knowledge, she agrees to help them translate the mysterious book, setting them on a path to uncover the world's hidden truths. The ancient book is revealed to be a collection of children's rhymes about the Empyrean Innominate. The lyrics describe him as a godlike being with 7 mouths, the Therions, that devour the world's malevolence to fuel his great awakening. The party finally deciphers the Abbey's grand design to position the 7 Therions at key Earth pulse points across the world. There they will feed Innominate the globe's collective malevolence, allowing him to be fully resurrected and reshape the world. At another Earth pulse point, they discover the tragic story of a priestess who became a demon. The Abbey had transformed her young daughter into a Therion, and the mother allowed herself to be devoured to provide sustenance for her monstrous child. Confronted by the Abbey's cruelty, Elinor's resolve finally breaks. She can no longer support their horrific methods. In a pivotal moment, Laphicet defies Velvet and prevents her from killing the child Therion, Kamoana, showing his growing compassion and independence. The terrible truth about Daemonblight is revealed. It isn't a disease at all. Humans transform into demons when their own internal malevolence overflows. By removing the Therion, the party inadvertently caused an entire village to succumb to their inner darkness. Kamoana is horrified by her own Therion appearance. Elinor comforts her, sharing the story of her own scars from a demon attack that killed her mother. This moment of shared trauma forges an unlikely but powerful bond between the exorcist and the Therion child. The crew takes on a new mission from Tabitha, smuggling a mysterious figure out of the capital. This person is revealed to be Prince Percival, who is fleeing the Abbey's growing influence and their emotionally suppressive control over the kingdom. A powerful psychic wave emanates from the Empyrean's throne, creating a domain that forcibly suppresses emotions and imposes reason. People become chillingly docile, their free will erased, offering a terrifying glimpse of Artorius' ideal world. Returning to the prison island, Velvet confronts her own origins. She finally understands that the prison was her personal feeding ground, designed to gather malevolence for a nominate. She was the first Therion, created by Artorius' ritual. Prince Percival explains why he fled. While the royal family officially supports Artorius' plan, he could not bear to see his childhood friend, a griffin, transformed into a Therion. He chose his personal emotional bond over the Abbey's cold, logical plan. Elinor confesses everything to the party. She had been a spy for Artorius, tasked with retrieving Laphicet. However, her journey with them has shown her the flaws in the Abbey's ideology, and she now fully renounces her mission to forge her own path. Lafacette discovers a new ability. He can use the Earth Pulse Point on Titania as a conduit to sense the locations of other major points across the globe. This provides the party with a crucial method for tracking down the remaining Therions. Velvet lashes out at Lafacette for trying to emulate her deceased brother. However, after a series of chaotic events, her anger softens. She gives him his own nickname, Flay, finally accepting him as his own person rather than a substitute for her past. The party tracks a dragon to an Earth Pulse Point, assuming it's the next Therion. They are stopped by Zavid, who reveals the dragon is actually a transformed woman he cares for, presenting yet another complex moral dilemma for the group. Kamawana has a nightmare that her mother rejects her because of her Therion form. Velvet, recalling her own complicated relationship with Laphicet, struggles to comfort the child. The moment reveals her lingering vulnerability beneath her hardened exterior. They locate the next Therion, Medusa, a woman who willingly transformed to atone for her own daughter becoming a demon. She is a devout believer in Artorius' cause, forcing the party into a difficult battle against a Therion who is not their enemy. Lafacette manages to convince Medusa to stand down by telling her about Kamawana, another child who was forcibly turned into a Therion. Realizing her grief is not unique, Medusa's resolve wavers, and she agrees to join them on Titania. Velvet is caught in a surreal dream, reliving cherished memories with her family and friends from her old village. The dream takes a dark turn when she realizes that she, in her grief, has metaphorically and literally devoured these happy memories. The idyllic village is revealed to be a powerful illusion created by the legate Melchior, designed to trap Velvet in a world of false happiness. Inside, her brother Laphicet is alive but comatose, forcing her to choose between a comforting lie and a painful truth. Velvet forcefully rejects the illusion, choosing to continue her quest for revenge. She understands that to forget her pain would be to betray her brother's memory and render his sacrifice meaningless. She shatters the dream world to face reality. Melchior appears, confirming he was behind the illusion. He tries to retrieve the original book on Innominate, but Velvet discovers a complete handwritten copy her brother had made. Lafacet's meticulous work has preserved the vital knowledge they need. Oscar and Teresa are selected to undergo a dangerous and experimental ritual called aromatization, which fuses an exorcist with their malak. Despite the risks, Oscar volunteers, seeing it as a way to atone for his past failures and protect his sister. Desperate to save Oscar, Teresa betrays the Abbey. She hijacks a ship and offers herself as a hostage to Velvet's crew, revealing the Abbey's plan to use the final Therion and the unstable aromatization art on a remote island. The plan goes tragically wrong. Teresa merges with the Therion to protect Oscar, who in turn uses the unstable aromatization to fight Velvet. The power overwhelms him, and he begins to transform into a monstrous dragon. Fi attempts to purify Oscar with his flame, but it's too late. To stop his uncontrollable rampage, Velvet is forced to kill him. Consumed by grief, Teresa attacks Velvet, who absorbs her in self-defense, a tragic end for the siblings. Magdalou's betrayal is exposed. Melchior had placed a magical G's on Bienfu, forcing him to act as a spy. Velvet, however, remains unfazed. She claims she never trusted Magdalou and orders her to continue fighting for their cause until her revenge is complete. The Abbey launches a full-scale invasion of Titania, spearheaded by exorcists empowered by the new Armatus forms. Overwhelmed, the Van Eltia is forced to retreat, leaving Velvet and her core party behind to face the overwhelming enemy force. Cornered and seemingly defeated, the party is confronted by Artorius. However, their final showdown is preempted by the arrival of Innominate, who has cruelly taken the form of Velvet's deceased brother, Laphicet, for the ultimate psychological attack. Artorius reveals the final piece of his plan. He didn't need a specific quantity of malevolence, but rather 7 different types. With Velvet's powerful despair and hatred being the last components, Innominate can now achieve his full awakening. Innominate, speaking with Lafacette's voice, torments Velvet with the truth. Lafacette willingly chose to be sacrificed, believing it would create a peaceful world for her. He claims her quest for revenge has made his death utterly meaningless. The crew is pulled into an earth pulse, now Innominate's personal domain. They are trapped within powerful illusions of their own pasts, forcing them to confront their deepest regrets, while Velvet relives her painful history with Artorius, Celica, and Laphicette. The illusions reveal the complete, tragic truth. Artorius' wife, Celica, Velvet's sister, and their unborn child were killed during a previous Scarlet Night. This event was manipulated by Melchior to push Artorius towards his fanatical goal of awakening Innominate. The most heartbreaking revelation comes to light. Laphicette, aware he was dying from an incurable illness, personally convinced Artorius to use him as the sacrifice. He made this choice out of love, believing his death would create a perfect world for Velvet. Crushed by guilt and despair, Velvet's will is shattered. Believing her entire journey was a selfish betrayal of her brother's dying wish, she offers herself to Innominate to be consumed, ready to accept her fate and atone for her perceived sins. Phi refuses to let Velvet surrender. He passionately declares that he cares for her for who she is now, not as a substitute for her brother. His unwavering belief in her gives her the strength to break free from Innominate's manipulation. Inspired by Velvet's resilience, Magdalou confronts her former master Melchior and rejects his attempts to break her spirit. She declares that she would rather live in a flawed emotional world than his cold, orderly one, finally finding her own conviction. The entire party stands reunited, their resolve hardened. They collectively reject Artorius' twisted ideal of a world without free will and embrace their own emotional, imperfect existence, preparing for the final battle against the Shepherd and his god. Before the final battle, Benwick gives Velvet a fortune apple, a good luck charm. The simple gift reminds her of a promise Artorius made long ago when he was still the kind man she loved, solidifying her resolve to see her mission through. Zavid and the crew are attacked by a demonized Captain Eifread, now a puppet of the Abbey. Zavid refuses to fight his former captain seriously, attempting to break through his conditioning, but is gravely injured for his loyalty. In a quiet moment, Velvet accepts that she can never be human again. She asks Elinor to look after Phi if she doesn't survive, recognizing that her path may require the ultimate sacrifice, but still wanting to leave behind a world with hope. Eifried's humanity flickers back for a moment after being struck by Zavid. In his final lucid moments, he reveals the key to defeating Innominate. They must awaken the 4 sleeping elemental Empyreans to break his absolute domain over the world. Innominate's power of suppression spreads across the globe. People's emotions and free will are stripped away, with many driven to suicide upon realizing their own inner malevolence. The party races against time to awaken the elemental Empyreans. At the Empyreans' throne, the party prepares to awaken the elemental Empyreans. The captured Therions, Kamoana and Medissa, willingly offer themselves as sacrifices, hoping their lives can help create a world where others won't have to suffer as they did. The crew makes their final preparations for the ultimate battle. Crowe receives his greatest sword, forged from the very being of the blacksmith Kurogani. Each member reaffirms their personal reasons for fighting before heading into the final confrontation. Just before the battle, Megaloo confronts Melchior one last time. She completely rejects his philosophy of order through suppression, declaring that the beautiful chaos and imperfection of life are what make it worth living, fully embracing her identity. In a moment of vulnerability, Phi confesses he dislikes being called Phi, as it's a name tied to Velvet's past. He wishes to be seen for himself. Velvet understands, finally letting go of her lost brother and fully accepting Phi's unique identity. The party confronts the Abbey legates. Crowe engages in a final climactic duel with his brother, Shigure. He finally surpasses him, earning Shigure's respect in his dying moments. Crowe claims his place as the true master of their sword style. Velvet's party faces Melchior within a volcano. He attempts to sacrifice himself to awaken the Fire Empyrean and annihilate them all in the eruption. However, Magalu uses her own powerful arts to counter him, finally settling the score with her former master. With the legates defeated, the 4 elemental Empyreans are awakened. This shatters Inominat's absolute control and restores free will to the Malachim. The world is thrown into chaos, but it is free. The stage is set for the final fight. The final battle begins against Artorius. No longer just a man, he is the embodiment of pure reason, while Velvet has fully embraced her role as the Lord of Calamity, the embodiment of emotion. Their clash is a philosophical and physical war for the world's soul. Artorius merges with Inominate, achieving his ultimate godlike form and gaining the power to suppress all of creation. The fight becomes a desperate, world-altering struggle against a divine being who seeks to erase free will from existence entirely. Velvet finally defeats Artorius, but Inominate, now completely unbound, threatens to consume all of existence in his sorrow. Realizing he cannot be killed, Velvet makes the ultimate sacrifice to save the world she fought so hard to free. Velvet locks herself and Inominate in an eternal cyclical battle. She will forever devour him as he devours her, creating a perfect stalemate that seals them both away. She becomes a living prison, her endless hunger neutralizing his endless power. To restore balance to the world, Phi volunteers to become a new, benevolent Empyrean. He takes the name Mautelis and vows to watch over humanity, giving them a chance to live with their flaws and forge their own future with their newly reclaimed free will. In the aftermath, the world is chaotic, but filled with hope. Elinor works with the newly freed Malachim to establish a new world order. The rest of the crew goes their separate ways, each finding their own purpose in helping to rebuild their free world. The story concludes with Mautelis watching over the world from above. He holds on to his belief in humanity's potential to grow and overcome its weaknesses, certain that one day, Velvet's dream of a world where everyone can live freely will become a reality.